Hey folks, Troy Dooley, MLM Help Desk, the Beachside CEO, and yes, Ocean Avenue. Okay, and this is, I don't go around, hey, look at us, rah, rah, rah. This isn't about this. This is about the company. I have a contract there, a sponsor, just like my other sponsors. You can see them on all my websites. But something that just came in last week night, actually Monday, I was on a call, a leader's call, and it was a powerful call because in the first 30 days of this company, they had gone out and really, it started in September. They were able to go out and attract, it's just some good leaders, 30, 40, I don't know how many total there was, but they attracted those leaders and they said, we want to build something different. We want to create a movement. We want to start a movement. I sat in on these meetings. And it was one of the things that was the catalyst in my Paige and I deciding we wanted to join this company. But these 30, 40 people, however many there was, that on October 1st said we're ready to roll, brought in 1,600 distributors in 30 days, sold over $1 million worth of product. Now, there's been some scuttlebutt on the internet that I've seen where people have talked about, well, you can't take credit cards and not ship product. No, what you have to do is you have to let people know up front, hey, we're going to be taking your credit card, we're going to get you in here, we're going to place your order, but your order won't ship for 2 to 8 weeks. Have you ever seen infomercials? They say that all the time. Tony Robbins always does this. So the company shipped product this week. It was wonderful to see what they've done. A lot of momentum, a lot of passion. But the passion is from the people in the field. And that's exciting, but it goes all the way up. And we were sitting in on the very first meeting when I met a young lady named Paige Anderson. And Paige came flying into the room. She owns a separate company called Shine Bright Kids. And she said, I have this dream of helping children worldwide understand the values in life, to understand entrepreneurial principles, to be able to understand character traits that are needed to succeed in the world. Now, she's about as politically incorrect as they come, and she's very passionate about her faith. If you guys have listened to my radio shows, you guys know that I'm very passionate about my faith. And I will tell you, hey, this is what I believe. You don't have to believe this, but I think the principles are solid. Well, Paige is like that. She doesn't care if you believe what she believes. She wants you to know what she believes. And she launched something that was magnificent. Now, because it's a standalone company, they're Ocean Avenue and Shine Bright Kids are still working out all the final details on stuff. We're going to call ours the Kid Zone, and I know they're working through that. But I want you to see this because people say all the time, Troy, what was it that drove you? Well, this was one of the catalysts because I sat and watched a young lady share her passion, share her vision. This wasn't her first rodeo. She actually facilitated and led a group that created the #1 charter school in Utah. And then I sat here and I watched what she was doing with Shine Bright Kids, what she wants to do with teenagers, the fact that they're going to be putting together conferences that will go right alongside of what the parents are doing at an Ocean Avenue conference. There'll be one for kids that will get awards and recognition and all that. I thought this is so unique. It's very interesting. Yesterday was an election. And when you can help teach children about elections, about politics, about the history of this country and other countries, when you show them what great leaders like Gandhi and others have done across the world and how they changed their countries, I think that's awesome. People say, Troy, what is Ocean Avenue? And I finally was able to sum it up. It's a movement that's given hope and opportunity back to Middle America. And I thought, finally we have got a company whose founders believe and understand, and they're willing to drive home the fact that you can be somebody. It's going to be hard work. It's no easier than any other network marketing company, but the focus and the passion that they have to give hope and opportunity and the vehicles that they're using to do that, from their kids zone to their vacation clubs to the passport parties, is something that I believe in my heart is very unique and very different. So I want to put up this interview that I did with Chris John and Paige so that you can understand one more reason why Troy Dooley and Paige Dooley decided we wanted our families aligned with this company. Does it mean there's not other great companies out there? Absolutely not. This company was right for us. It may not be right for you. Live life like an epic adventure. Stay dangerous, stay strong, and watch this video that we did just a couple of weeks ago before I broke my foot.
Folks, Troy Dooley with MLM Help Desk, and I still have a problem with my voice, but we're in the beautiful offices of Ocean Avenue, as you can tell. But I get to hang out today with the Shine Bright Kids creators, if you will. So I think this is fun. I've got Chris John and I've got Paige, and it's so easy to remember your name because my Paige always sends me texts, so this is great. But I want you guys to give me a little bit of your background, ladies first, just to give a little bit of who you are and kind of what brought this to focus.
Okay, I'm Paige, and I'm a mother of 4. So I have a 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And they pretty much are the focus of my life. And then I'm married to the most wonderful man who helps me be a better person. So he always jokes that he married up, but he can say that because I actually did. So it works. My family's my focus, and some of the things I've been able to do in the past always have been focusing on my children and making sure their education was good or making sure their future was brighter. So this was kind of a natural fit because as parents, a lot of times as moms, once you have a child, your focus changes. I remember when I was pregnant with my first and I had all these career goals and I wanted to really focus on that because I love business and I have an entrepreneurial spirit from my dad. And after having Lissa, it changed and she kind of became my focus. And while I still have that workaholic entrepreneurial spirit, I make sure to try to keep them my focus. So that's just a little bit about my life.
I love that. Chris John, how about you?
I'm similar to Paige. Family is a key aspect of my life. I grew up with a father that was an entrepreneur as well. Had many of my cousins that worked with me at my father's business that I treated as brothers and sisters. We just grew up that way. Between going over to our grandparents' house and seeing them all the time and seeing them at work, it just kind of created that family environment. Always wanted to work with family and worked with my father for a long time before starting my own business and incorporating some family of my own into that, taking my brother along with me. And fortunately, being here at Shine Bright, which there were some odd circumstances that brought me here, I'm working with my cousin's daughter. So,
which is great.
Yes.
Family there too.
So yes, so a little bit of family there. I have 5 daughters and a son. The youngest is 16, the oldest is 27, and married my best friend. So
awesome.
That's not to say that my life is perfect in any means or any way, but
Understand.
But I feel like I have a perfect life. I don't live a perfect life, but I have a perfect life. So I would say some of the things that are important to me. I have been in some business. I've had business background, had some businesses of my own, sold a couple of them. I was looking for some opportunity to continue in some, probably some construction products that I had been in the past. I've been in several different businesses and different lines of business, but was interested in moving back into a construction line of business and had people set up and products arranged and was ready to move into that market. When Paige gave me a call, and you got to understand, we have family reunions, and I get a chance to see Paige on probably a yearly basis, once a year, maybe twice a year for a Christmas party. But I knew her as the motorcycle rider that was jumping off the motorcycle track.
Yeah.
She's a dirt bike rider, and she's good. But one time she let one of my daughters ride her motorcycle, and that's, when you have motorcycles and you're questioning people's ability, you don't really want to let people take it out and ride it. But she was very gracious to let my daughter ride it. And but I knew of Paige. And I knew some of the accomplishments that she had had in her life, but hadn't spent a lot of time talking to her to know what her personality was or what kind of traits that she had. And when I got a chance to meet with her in the middle of trying to put together another business, she asked me to come meet with her and her parents, and felt inspired in the meeting that we had to offer me the position of president of her company, which was probably a shock to her and to her father and to me as well. But it was a meeting that, as we left And as I left her home, it was with tears in my eyes and feeling like I needed to be there. And hearing the vision that she had for sharing gospel values and Christ-centered values with children,
Sure.
and incorporating that into their lives, there's nothing that's dear to my heart than giving children hope and giving them a bright future and making a difference in their lives. So that's what got my heart and what made me feel like I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, because you guys, I mean, your backgrounds are really different. I mean,
Very.
you're educational, you're a creator. I mean, we've shared stories of taking and seeing something and then creating it to be better. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, although that will work here, it isn't what you would say a match made in heaven type of deal,
Right.
except that it really did work out that way.
It did.
Because your hearts are kind of what drew you together for this project here.
Very
And I want you, Paige, to share a little bit about the educational background, because
Okay.
you did start a charter school, if I'm correct, here in
I helped.
Okay.
I get a lot of credit, but there was a big group of wonderful volunteers, and we were able to do it together. They were kind enough to let me lead and be the president. So sometimes I get more recognition than I probably deserve. But together we were able to build a school that was very needed in a community. Our community is, I'm very grateful, is blossoming with children. Everyone
Yeah.
has lots of families, but in a school that creates problems because there were a lot of, the schools were overcrowded in our community, and there were a lot of, oh, I forgot the name of them, but the little rooms that are outside, I don't know, I can't think of the name, but so they didn't even have space for the kids. They're off route, they're off track,
Oh, wow.
and so it was really hard. And
So
I
those
know there was,
those mobile
yeah, the mobile ones,
places.
yeah,
Okay,
there's
I
a
got
word
you.
for it. And so we came together and we started creating a charter school, and it has been a huge blessing to be able to see the lives that it's helped and the teachers, and to be able to create something that you knew would make a difference in children's lives. And while I had grown up with a lot of entrepreneurial experience and watching my parents and been able to participate in that, it was neat to see something that was going to benefit children and benefit my children. And so that was a wonderful opportunity. I learned a lot about education, how children learn. I remember sitting through, before we had a principal, I got to go to a lot of the principal conferences
Oh, wow.
and different meetings, and I was like, why do I need to know this? And I was able to learn a lot about education, how to teach children, how they learn. And looking back, I'm so grateful that I spent all of those hours in those meetings, because I learned a great deal about teaching children. And I think it now benefits my children, and it will also benefit children and help shine bright. So
I'm excited about that. Now let's talk
I have
about
to add to that though,
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
because Paige doesn't like talking about herself. I think that one of the important aspects of that whole story is the fact that what she named the school and why she named it that, what she named it, and she doesn't like taking credit for it, but and you can maybe ask her.
well, it was the board again. What we did is, it's called Providence.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was just because we felt, I was able, in creating the school, I was able to accomplish much more than I could on my own.
Sure.
My abilities are always here, and with God's help, I am able to achieve here. And people are like, wow, that's great. I'm like, but that's not me. And so that was my way of saying, when I was writing things or doing parts of the charter, doing budgeting, looking back on it, I would see, I'd be like, that was not me, but I did create it. And so that was the way that we felt together. The name Providence, we had gone back and forth between Liberty and just different names.
Sure.
And that was one that we thought together would be a great one to kind of give the recognition that we were helped and guided without kind of putting too much God into schools, because that's not allowed.
I understand. Which kind of brings us to Shine Bright Kids, because as you progressed in that project,
Yes,
you did learn that you were limited
yes.
on what kids could be taught, what you wanted your kids to learn.
I do.
What happened there?
Throughout the process, I love the school, and it's one of the best performing schools in our state.
heard that.
And it's just wonderful, and the teachers there are great. I decided after to homeschool, just for me personally, because we wanted our children's education based on Christ.
Sure.
And we wanted it based on values and principles. And in the school system, you can't do that.
That's true.
And so one of the aspects that we wanted is we wanted them to really focus on their potential and their God-given talents, because they have those. And in the school system, I saw you can't. You have a classroom, and that's why our teachers and our administrators are so wonderful, and they do the best they can with what they're given.
Absolutely.
But we would purchase the curriculums for the entire school, and then I have children that learn differently, so my kids have different curriculums at home. because one of them, is very analytical, the other one is very visual,
Yep.
and so I'm able to reach them on a different level. But in addition to that aspect, we really wanted to teach them the values and make sure they had that foundation for the world that is facing them.
Sure.
Because at times it can look very dark and just seem overwhelming.
That it can. Which, Christian, brings me back to you, because here you are loving your kids, wanting your kids to be raised, same principles, and all of a sudden you guys come together, to do something that's really out of the world. I mean, it's different. What really, when she shared, what drew you to this project, knowing that it was far bigger than what you guys probably even imagine now?
Well, Troy, I would have to be honest, and I throughout my life, I am somebody who has had a belief in myself, a God-given belief that when He puts things in front of me and inspires me to, and the only thing I can relate it to would be the movie Field of Dreams. And some people really get that movie because they've had experiences in their life where they feel like God's been moving them and directing them in paths and giving them a feeling to me it was a feeling that I had when I was talking to Paige about, not only do I have a passion for the children, but I have a passion for where God wants me to be. And I feel like through some of the stories I've shared with you, that some of my businesses in the past, that's the way I live my life. They aren't always the most logical decision of where to go, but it's where I believe that God wanted me to go. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Paige is, I happen to know her grandmother because she's my aunt. And one of the things that her grandmother said to me was, Paige is the type of person that would do what God wanted her to do, regardless of the consequences or the circumstance.
I try.
And that's how she's lived her life. And I've tried to live my life that way as well. And, tackling a charter school at 20 years old when you're a newly married individual, I think she was 20 when she's thinking.
21, I think. 21, 22.
Oh, well, we were at least legal age here.
Okay. So she's 21, she's newly married, and she's thinking, hey, I've got to worry about what my kids are going to be doing in school. And she hasn't even had a kid yet. And
She was 6 months.
was she 6
She
months?
was 6
Okay,
months.
so the
So
story
baby.
gets a little bit.
I love this. This is great.
So I did at least hear the story from her. So anyway, it's one of those things where I was able to accomplish some things that I couldn't have ever dreamed of doing, putting myself against millions of dollars and educated people, and I just know, and because of that, I'm somebody who, it's been really fortunate for me to be able to see the real contrast between my abilities, which I know aren't that great,
Sure.
and the accomplishment. And knowing that the only way that happens is when God's hand's involved in it. And I love being able to be an instrument in His hands to do what He'd like me to do. And recognize that and give the glory to Him and say, this was because of you, it wasn't because of me. I'm not interested in taking the glory, I'm interested in knowing that I'm listening and I'm doing what God would have me do. And so I believe that that's what Paige is. And I felt that when I went over to meet with them. And, just to give you a little example of some of that in action, when she said, I believe you're supposed to be president of the company, as we're sitting down in this meeting, she hadn't heard anything about me. Her father was believing that he was going to be the president of the company, or that they were going to work together to build the company. And at the time he's sitting there, and this is the first time he's heard this, he's like, we hadn't talked about this.
I can just see that.
And as they're talking back and forth, she says, I feel like he's supposed to be the president, and there's some other things coming for you, which was Ocean Avenue.
Sure.
And he politely said, okay, well, you obviously have some things to talk about. And he got up and excused himself and allowed us to talk for the next half an hour. In that half an hour, Paige had told me several things, one of which was that she's somebody who wants to control the project so much and make sure that it's done right, that she's not the type of person to just give up the position of president, and that was just a real question to her. She's like, really? I'm supposed to give up president of the company to somebody I don't know what he'll do or how he'll do it.
Cousin.
And as we sat and talked for a few minutes, and I explained to her where I'd been and what I had done, and we talked back and forth and got to know each other, she made the comment, she said, I now know why you're supposed to be president. And the reason why you're supposed to be president is because you would do the same things that I would do. And I don't know if it was her that said it or if it was me, but saying that I was a male form of Paige, and she had a mission she had a mission and a calling, and that was her children. She needed to be home to help raise her children, and she needed somebody in as president of the company that felt and had the passion that she did to be able to direct the company the way that she would if she could be there. But that wasn't her mission in life, was to be president of the company. She's to raise their children. So this is something that she practices in her own life, that she feels this is important to her. This isn't about the money or the business. This is about making a difference.
Right.
And I love that, and that's why I'm here. So
Why this project? What caused you to say, hey, this is what I want to do?
Well, what happened is I was actually talking to my brothers because I feel like our kids are constantly bombarded with ways of the world. You know, part of our mission is in a world where morals, values, principles, and all that are believed to be, and all that is good are believed to be a thing of the past. We know they're our future, and that's how I felt. I said, well, everyone is telling them, oh, you know, waiting until you're married, or all these different values, or being honest, or doing unto others. It's not about that. It's about yourself and what you can get for yourself, and you know, making sure that you're taken care of. I didn't want that, and so I was talking to my brothers, and they said, we need to help show kids and teens how it's not true, how that's not true, how that is what they want you to believe, but those things are what bring you joy. If you live that way, your life will actually be much, much better. You will, if you aren't obsessed with, oh, you succeeded, so I can't,
Right.
Your life is better. We can all succeed together and building each other up. And so I'd been talking to my brothers about that, and we were brainstorming with some ideas, and my dad came in and was listening. And he actually was the one that came up with the online concept for little kids.
Okay.
And he said, well, Paige, you know the thing your kids play online sometimes for school, the alphabet ones and the different learning aspects. He's like, do they have something like that teaches values and principles and how to be successful and live a better life? I was like, no. And once he said that, I just was like, we're doing that. I am sold. And so I started working on different stories, and we found an artist and started getting different aspects of it, because those foundation years make such a difference.
Absolutely.
Because once you get to the tweens and the teens, that's where you start getting pulled. And so I was so excited that he had come up with the concept for the little kids. And so actually it started out as a family one, where we were sitting around the table with my brothers, my dad, and brainstorming and coming up with different ideas and concepts. And like Christian was saying, my dad then had a network marketing opportunity just fall into his lap. And he was really worried, and he was actually contemplating, I don't know if it's okay that I say this, but he was contemplating not doing it because he believes so much in ShineBright. And he's like, Paige, I believe this needs to happen, and this will change the world. And he's like, I don't want to just abandon you in it. And I'm like, oh, I will run with it. Like, we are good. And he was laughing because I had been completely running with it. And so it was right around that time that I met Christian, and it just, everything came together and everything worked so perfectly. And then they were able to create their company that I believe also is helping families and changing the world. And so it's been a wonderful combination of different factors that we weren't even planning on or trying coming together. And now we're working on our team concept for the ShineBright, and all of the different concepts together. Just really, I'm very grateful to be a part of them.
I think
So that
this
was
is
how it
great.
came about.
Well, now share a little bit with us. I had a guy in here yesterday that I was talking to, and we shared a little bit about ShineBright. And it was a light bulb came on. He goes, this is like playing Sims. I said, except for a little bit better version of it. Yeah, but the concept is the same.
It is.
And it really is kind of an online Sims
It is.
type deal. So share a little bit about the actual
So
thing.
what that is that's kind of our vehicle to have kids engaged and having fun and reason to come back. And so what it is kids go through different online lessons and stories and activities, and it's interactive. And one of them is they learn that they're like a seed. They have great potential in them, and there's nothing they can't accomplish. And in there, it actually has scriptures, and it talks about, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens
Sure.
me. So they get to go through and learn about how, oh, this seed is so tiny, but look at its potential. And then they have our camp story that teaches them to stand, care, dream, and believe. So while it's like the Sims concept of they get to create a fun avatar that either looks like them, or my son's is always so fun and creative looking. They get to create that, and then they get to earn points to buy things to go in their little house. There's that concept that the kids love, and their avatar follows them through the stories, and they just think it's so great that their avatar's there. But the real value in it is, while that is what gets kids to go to it, the value is we are teaching them principles that parents will love and appreciate and really will help change the world. And we're hoping will help support parents in teaching their children you can accomplish anything. And sticking to Judeo-Christian principles and sticking to what our country was founded on and what we believe as a family will help shape you. And so through those fun little activities, kids are learning great things. And one of our stories I loved the other day, we were in the car and my daughter was saying something like she was a cat or something. And my kids are like, "You're not a cat." She's like, "I'm a cat." And they're like, "But you're not." And then my son Archie said, "Oh, you're pretending, like in Shine Bright. It is okay to pretend."
That's great.
And I just love when they take those concepts and they're really learning them. And one of ours that is not done yet, but it's teaching kids to relax and things like, if I'm feeling sad or starting to get mad, I stop and take a breath. And so my kids will even point out to me if I start to talk and be like, "Guys, come on." They're like, "Mom, take a breath." And so I love that kids are learning these great concepts. They're memorizing some of the scriptures. Sometimes they'll say some of them, and I'm like, "Oh, you know a scripture, and I didn't even teach that one to you." They're ones that are from the website instead of our family practices. So it's really fun that through that simple concept, kids are learning what actually matters and they're gaining value. And parents can feel good about letting their kids do something fun. And after all of their hard work and, something that will help build them in a fun way that they like to go back to.
I love that. Now it also has history modules.
It does.
Because your dad gets all excited
It
about
has
this
a time
spaceship.
machine.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The spaceship, so what it is once they build their avatar, they go to a space station. And from the space station, they can get in the rocket where they go to stars, where they learn the different values. They learn to stand, they learn principles and scriptures, or they can, what we call, blast the past. And there's a song that goes with it, and it says, "We blast the past to learn from those who've gone before, because the future is not a mystery if we know our history." And we try to teach kids that that's true. If you know history, history has it repeats itself.
Oh, yes,
so
it
if you
does.
understand history, and even in reading the Bible, you see often the patterns.
Oh, yeah.
And so looking for those patterns. So first one they get to do is they actually get to meet Thomas Edison, and how many times he failed creating the light bulb and the word stick-to-itiveness. And they get to learn how, they say in it, you failed 1,000 times. And he said, "No, I learned 1,000 ways not to make the light bulb. And every step is closer to my path of success." And that was one that we wanted to start with because sometimes we do fail. You go out and you try it and you're not always successful, and that's okay. There are lessons in that, and there are things that you learn in that. And so they get to meet Thomas Edison and some of the future ones to come. They learn so much from these people, from their character, from their efforts, from how they changed the world. One of the things that we try to teach people is one person can change the world. And then we have the thing, one person can shape the family can shape a community, the community can shape a nation, and that nation can shape the world.
Absolutely.
So that one person can make a difference. You may seem small and insignificant, but you can make a difference. And so living kind of like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. That's what we're trying to teach them, be that change. And we also have tools that go along with families that teach them to live it. So we have resources they can print off and start having those times together that teach them, here's the scriptures they're learning, here's the values they're learning. Let's start practicing it and living it. And that to me means as much as the website, because while the website is good, we want to make sure it's in the homes and parents have those support tools. Because as a mom, I know it's hard to, let's create like a family morning devotional, or let's create a weekly family activity. It's hard to have those. And so we give those resources to parents with the service so that they can start building that. We ask all families to take our pledge that says, "I stand, I care, I dream, I believe, I achieve, I love. I make a difference. I improve the world, and I shape the future. I am whoever I choose to be. I choose God's greatness in me." And we're trying to ask families, okay, let's try to live a little better. None of us, like he says, we often feel we're not perfect.
Sure.
We're not claiming to be perfect. But let's try to live better. Let's look for people to care to. Let's start saying in our daily prayers, guide us to someone that needs help. And so those little aspects of trying to create a community and bring families together that want to change the world, that want to show it's not the darkness winning.
Yeah.
There is light everywhere. And you just have to look for the light. And you have to be willing to be one of the lights, which is hard because a lot of times I think we get all nervous and,
Sure.
maybe that's not right for me. And so that's what we're trying to do is help bring those people together because we all have that common belief and that common foundation of goodness. And we want our children to make a difference. So that's kind of our foundation.
I love that you do the pledge. I've watched your mom do that, and she can never do it in a dry eye. She always starts crying
She
when
does.
she gives the pledge, and it's like it means so much,
Yeah.
to her, and that's neat to me because when you see your kids do something on their own, but yet it penetrates a parent like that, you realize this is huge. This is going to be big, and I like that. How'd you guys end up tying in? I mean, obviously it's family, but how'd you tie in with Ocean Avenue? Because obviously Dad was headed in a different
he
direction.
split. So we, while he had started, while we were working on together once he had that, he's like, okay, I'm consumed with that. He was so busy, so we'd split. And it was actually Ken Dunn. So Ken Dunn
Really?
actually called me, which is quite funny because my dad, Brad, my brothers, my mom, he
Oh, that's
called and he
good.
said, he was talking to his daughter, it's actually his daughter. He said, Dad, we should have a kid link on our website where kids can go to Ocean Avenue and they can play games. And so he called and he's like, Paige, what if we have yours? And I thought that was such a great idea because with Ocean Avenue, they're all about family and they're all about bringing families together and they do want to make a difference. And they're about, I know why they like the vacation thing so much is our family's been on so many vacations.
Sure.
And it helps bonding. There's so many values that come from spending that quality time together. And our family, we did it through vacations, whether it was camping, dirt biking, boating. I loved when we went on the houseboat because you're confined together in houseboat and you get to spend so much quality time together. So that aspect of the families and then that we're able to help them is so great. And one of the things they've asked us to help with, which I'm so excited, is we have Shine Bright conventions we're planning to have, and they're going to have us do it during their convention.
So their convention, so
Yes.
the kids have
so
a home.
we'll have the kids come in and they will learn from different mentors. We're going to help them build their talents, whether it's an artist or a musician or an entrepreneur or public speaking. So we're going to have different people come in and teach them how to accomplish their dreams, teach them values. They get to do like an hour and a half of a service project.
Wow.
So we're going to be uplifting their children while the parents are going and uplifting. And I think it's such a great fit because with network marketing, which I'm a big fan of because of my past, the parents are chasing their dreams.
Sure they are.
They are stepping out of their comfort zone and trying to go after something they believe in. And so what's so great is their kids that will be learning that on our website will be seeing their parents do that. And that is what I was fortunate to grow up with. I got to see my dad chase his dreams and sometimes they worked incredibly well and then sometimes he found out that's not my path. And so for kids to be able to see my parents are living what I'm learning and that they're doing it together as a family and they're teaching it and bringing those families together. And I'm so excited because we were just going to start mainly in the U.S. because we're starting pretty small and humble. And because of Ocean Avenue and then giving it to all of their people, we will be in different countries to start. And the beauty of being able to get our message that we care so much about because we believe it can change the world. Not because of us, but because we're focusing on Christ and his light and what he can accomplish, that we can change the world together. And so there are different kids out there that will make a difference. And our team concept I love because we're actually going to have the teens bring a lot of the content to us. We'll be doing competitions of videos, like create a cool video of why you stand for something, why you care. Create a cause and we'll help support your cause. Create music or different aspects and we will help be your avenue to share it. Because we were going through different ways of reaching teens and connecting with teens and I had the direction, they have it. They have that knowledge. They have their talents from God.
Oh, gosh,
Let's share theirs. So we're going to be bringing all these teens and helping, they will help create our movement and they will help create, we stand for this. The world can tell you teens don't live like this anymore, but I do. And here's why I live like this, and here's what I believe in, and helping them, bringing that community together. Because those teens together as a community, they're our future. Our kids are our future. While we may have different things embedded in our hearts, and we may have that faith, they're growing up in a different generation than me. And I'm not even 30 yet. I'm turning 30 this year. And it's so different than how I grew up.
Still 21. So,
But it's still so different. And so to give them that foundation to just show these kids, there are great kids out there making a difference, and to inspire other teens. That's our teen concept and our tweens, that they will be the ones inspiring them. It won't be just adults mentoring to them saying, here's what you do. We're going to do it together. Because I did learn from my dad, you learn so much from your elders and from people that have lived. They have so much knowledge. So joining together to help them reach the teens in a way that they understand and to connect in areas that we don't even understand. We don't understand some of their trials. Life is different for them. And so to come together, I'm really excited to see what we're able to accomplish with all of the teen success. And so with Ocean Avenue, all of their parents are living that, and so I know they encourage that in their teens, and I've been able to meet some of them.
Sure.
And I'm excited to see all the people that we're able to bring together and work together.
See, I like that because taking it back to the Bible, you look at so many teens in the Bible, and that's where their stories start, whether it's King David or Meshach, Shadrach, or Abednego, Daniel. All these guys were teens, but yet now we come into a modern culture and they try to say, no, you just sit back, we'll take care of it. So that really, because we've done that. All of our boys, our teens, our girls, look, you tell me what you want to do and we'll do it. My 22-year-old started 2 foundations young because he goes, Dad, I just want to help these people, So I mean, seeing that freedom that you're saying, I love that. But as a parent now, I'm gonna go over here to Chris John, because I have a concern and I want to know how you guys are going to address it. There's also weirdos in the world that want to come onto a website where there's kids and pretend. So how do you filter to make sure it's kids doing what kids are supposed to do and not wackos?
That would be a good question. I think
that's where the monitoring comes into play. My dad, one of his previous experiences was creating an internet filter. I don't know if you know
I do know that.
Yeah, to protect kids online. And so taking some of those concepts and some of those, making sure they're qualified, how they got in, making sure who's on there. And our community will not be as much online per se as different things, like maybe even starting different text Bible study groups. So get your own friends of, okay, study your scriptures, now text each other and say, what you learned. Or kind of like a check-in of, I did this today. So having them create people in their own communities, not just on the web. Okay. So there's different levels and different aspects, because I'm a parent and that is one of my biggest fears. Sure. Is even putting your kids up online or pictures. Yeah. My husband's always like, why are pictures of our kids anywhere? So those types of things, making sure that they're completely safe. And so we have a few different ideas and questions that we're going to make sure that we're looking at, because we want to make sure our kids are completely safe. And one thing they can always know is our kids will be on it as well. And that's our huge concern.
That makes sense.
So the different concepts of making sure they're qualified, how they're reporting, and making sure you look for some of those key phrases and some of the keywords. And they have paths of how they do it.
Okay.
And there's systems of, there's a strategy of how those investigators
so
look
those
for
checks
those
and balances that are in place.
And so from my dad's experience there, I'm going to go into some of those resources and ask for their help.
That's awesome. Well, I just know as viewers watch, they're going to be saying, well, what about? So
completely agree.
We want to make sure that's out there. Now, you're connected to Ocean Avenue, but you're a standalone, politically incorrect company that's for profit. This isn't a nonprofit deal. So
it is.
What's the future there? How are you going to really, outside of Ocean Avenue, get this story out there and really share with the world about this movement?
Go ahead.
Social media is going to be a big part of that, and us believing that it is a movement and that it will be a movement. We're the first ones to admit that we aren't perfect in everything or anything for that matter, and that the people that we tell the story to can feel it in their heart, and that this is a movement and it's something that's needed and we need their help. We believe that people will come and they'll be forgiving of the product not being perfect, or that there's not 100 different stories on there to begin with, or that that they can be a part of that movement and a part of building our future with Shine Bright, and that it pulls at their heartstrings like it does ours. I think one of the things that we said before the camera came on is the fact that everything that we're trying to incorporate in a child's life is something that's happening to us as a company and as employers and employees in the company, from the way that the employees have come to us, the way that the company started, the way that the vision came. I think that all of those things being directed by God and allowing the Savior's light to shine in our lives, and for us to be guided by that. How awesome it is that the very thing that we want to be teaching our children is happening in our very own company. And I believe that that's going to pull at people's heartstrings and say, I want to be a part of it, because I can feel it. I can feel that something greater is going on here than what they're just putting out for me to see as a first glance. And I want to be a part of that. And that'll happen through some grassroots movement, through social media, through Pinterest, through Facebook, through whatever it might be. And Paige has a pretty good understanding of what she wants to do as far as marketing. And I should probably let her answer some of that as well. But.
Well, I can say this, in watching history, movements usually get started when you capture the heart of a teen. So when you can capture the hearts and you're allowing them to add to that, then parents get excited, because parents say, why are you excited about this? And all of a sudden it starts to grow. And as long as that's not manipulated in the wrong way, all of a sudden real leaders start to show.
They do.
So that I think social media would be a good way to do that.
And the Kid Way, our stories, we start out with 7 stories and then we add more each month. And so it gives them that foundation of repeating, but we aren't starting with hundreds. But the kids love the stories. And it's so fun to hear the different kids talk about the stories they love and why they like them and how funny they are. One of the little kid ones is Willy Wonderful's Not So Wonderful Circus. And why is it not wonderful?
You showed me that one.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't finish anything. He's not diligent. So they get to go through and they get to clean up animal poo. And they get to hang a sign. And parents, because even something as fun as a circus is not fun if we don't finish our responsibilities.
That's true.
So teaching them diligence in a way that kids love this website, that to parents might be like, why is it that different? If we don't even capture their hearts, the kids will love it and be gaining stuff, and the parents can see that. And the teens, I am inspired by teens that I meet and by their vision and their belief in themselves. And that's one of the things that people, when I was young and I was doing things like the charter, helping with different things, people are, what made you think you could do that? I'm like, why could I not have? And I want to instill that in teens. Why can you not make a difference right now? Like, why do you have to wait till you're done with college? Why do you have, because I even had people saying, well, you're not even done with college. Like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, well, you can do whatever your dreams are. Follow your dreams, set them. Like teaching them of different examples of Walt Disney and finding those teens that have that knowledge and those talents and those passions. And my big thing is finding the parents that have that. Because one of our things for the teens is, as the ways of the world encircle me, it seems darkness is all I see. So losing hope, I fall to my knees in prayer, and I'm reminded light is everywhere. So kind of giving that light to parents, saying, okay, I know that you feel bombarded. I know that you might worry about your children's future. That what is my children's future going to be? We're here to help. Join with us, and getting people to join our movement and our cause, and coming along and building it together, and believing in what our mission is together. So I believe that's how we're going to get people, is by their hearts, because they will hear our cause and our purpose and know that every single one of the people that have come to work for us, their hearts are there, and they are wonderful, good people working, and they believe in this cause. They have left family companies. They've left companies they own.
Sure.
They've left all these aspects that the world would have told them don't leave where you're at to go to Shine Bright. And they left there because they believe in this mission, because they believe the world needs this right now. And so getting our message out there and telling parents, we are here to support you in helping your children build a bright future for themselves and shaping your families where you have Christ-centered families. That's our mission. And just finding the people that believe in that with us and to do it together.
Well, I think there's plenty of it.
I think that that's an important aspect that she brings up, is that, you know, the other part of our vision is to teach them success principles. Mm-hmm. And those success principles go hand in hand with gospel principles and values.
Oh, yeah.
And we went with Ocean Avenue over to a service project to a school, and they brought out the whole 5th grade, which were 10 and 11-year-old kids. And this school happened to be special in that 85% of the school, the parents and the families that live in this school, are below poverty income level.
Now I want to stop you right there, because when your mom shared that stat with me, I wouldn't have believed that, because I've always looked at Salt Lake City as this very successful, very upscale, and I was shocked to learn that there is a gigantic poverty level
all over
in this valley. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, there are certain sections of the valley that have that demographic. But when we went to do the service project at this school, they took a bunch of the leaders and they said, we want you to go with 4 kids each, and we're cleaning up around the schoolyard, pulling weeds, picking up garbage, and we're trying to make a difference in the school and show the kids that we care. And they've kind of adopted this school for the year, and they're going to end up doing a couple of things for the school but throughout the year, for Christmas and at the end of the year, and a track and field event. And so when the 5th grade came out, which was pulling at my heartstrings, I'm seeing Paige's mother come out with a whole herd of 5th graders behind her walking out, and it was a picture moment. But they split them up and they gave them to us, and knowing what our vision is for our company to make a difference in children's lives, I had a chance to take 4 girls with me out to do some weeding. And I really quickly tried to memorize their names, and they were trying to remember mine and how to spell it. And we got talking about things, and I said, what is it that you really want to be? What would you like to be? As a 10-year-old in a poverty area, wanting to know if they still have dreams, if they've been squashed, what is it that they're thinking? One wanted to be a doctor, one wanted to be a lawyer, one wanted to be a teacher, and one wanted to be a singer. And
Wow.
at least the way she said
A
it.
little creative
But
there.
the cutest girls that I've ever met. And just to hear them talk about their dreams and their passions and what they want to become, and knowing that Paige believes that she could do anything at 21, not through college, but because her parents believed in her and they taught her that she could do anything and that she can make a difference. And when people are asking her, why are you thinking that you can build a charter school? Because your kid is going to be in a crowded schoolroom. And she says, because I've been taught that all my life. One of the lessons that we have is the Thomas Edison lesson, and did a little bit of research on Thomas Edison that I didn't know. And in going through some research with Thomas Edison, he was a young boy, 7, 8 years old, with a huge head. And kids picked at him and they made fun of him. And his school teacher was so distraught with him, couldn't teach him, just wanted to put him off in the corner, put him down to the principal's office, something to get him out of his hair, because he couldn't do anything with him. He couldn't teach him. He said he's dumb. He's not as smart as the rest of the kids. And Thomas Edison actually heard that conversation with the teacher and the principal and went home and told his mother. His mother came back and told the teacher that she had more brains, or that Thomas Edison had more brains in his pinky than this teacher had. It ultimately led to her taking her son home and teaching him at home and homeschooling him.
A homeschool. Okay,
Yeah.
this is good.
And that's not really the key thing that I want to focus on, or the aspect, but I think that the important thing was that he had somebody that believed in him.
Sure.
That she didn't want him going somewhere where he was told he couldn't do it, and that he couldn't make a difference, and that he couldn't learn, and that he wasn't smart enough. And she brought him into an environment where she believed in him. And there are quotes from Thomas Edison that says, I couldn't let my mother down. Who knows that 1,000 times experimenting to get the light bulb wasn't just a factor of, I can't let my mother down. She believes in me. She wanted me to do this. She knew that I could do it. I'm not sure that I can do it myself, but I know my mom believes that I can. And something kept him going. And did we take somebody that was a genius and homeschool him and get him to fulfill his destiny? Or did we take an average kid that had an extraordinary mother with some resources that said, I'm going to teach you to love books, I'm going to teach you to believe in yourself, I'm going to teach you that you can make a difference, and he turned into an extraordinary individual?
That's a good point.
I believe the latter.
Well, if you look at George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, they both have also said, all that I am, I contribute to my mother. And so we even have resources for moms and parents, because I believe we shape our children.
Mhm.
You know, moms play such an important role
Oh gosh, yeah.
of guiding their children. And sometimes we get so focused on all the other things, or taking them to dance and soccer. You know, my schedule gets so busy. But to really to remind ourselves where we focus, and to give moms that network of support, and saying, let's focus on our children, let's support our children. Different things of, you know, reminding them for every one negative, like 10 positives. Like
Yeah.
that is so hard to do, but different suggestions and little things like, here's a cotton ball jar. For every time you do something good or Christ-like, we put a cotton ball in a jar in our house, and it just reinforces the good, because otherwise it's so hard to be pointing out all of those good all the time,
gosh, yeah.
which is sad. But I think that those moms, where the moms' hearts are, really make a difference, as well as the dads. Where our parents are, influence the home. And I think that looking back, if we can be any part of that to show those kids that they do have potential, to tell them you can make a difference, we believe in you. I have a theory, it's kind of a weird one, but you often hear how parents think their kids are the greatest.
Sure.
And everyone's like, oh, why do they think their kid is so great? And my theory is, I think we, as parents, we see our kids closest to how God sees them. We know all of their flaws. Yes, we know them better than you do, but we also see their potential.
Sure.
We see their goodness. And what we want to do is we want to help parents, because we know your children have those goodnesses that not even we know, and you know part of, but God knows all of. And we want to help them. We want to give them the support and a network in a fun, entertaining way that will build that in them.
Right.
Because as parents, we do see the greatness in our kids. And yes, we all have flaws, but we see their goodness. And we want to help support that goodness and give them fun, entertaining ways to do it.
Well, it definitely sounds like you guys are. And I think we should be clear for any teachers that are looking. It isn't teachers that really are the problem in public school.
Oh,
it's
no.
it's
I
all
love
these
teachers.
all these kids, lack of resources.
Yes.
You know, I mean, teachers are probably the most underpaid and maybe the most dangerous sometimes jobs with all these kids going nuts. And this is an extra avenue. I mean, even if a parent's kids are in school,
Yes.
this can be an extra avenue.
His
for them.
kids go to public school. My kids homeschool. It's for all families. And I've seen teachers and what they sacrifice and what they give
Oh, yeah.
and their passion. I have some that I'm like, oh, can I bring you home to teach my children so you can teach these like individualized and these Christ principles? Because they will cry when they talk about their students from years ago. I have one of my best friends is a former teacher. She stopped to stay home with her kids, but she will talk about how she would hear sometimes the trouble students, and so she would make them her project of building them up, giving them extra, like focusing on them, and tears come to her eyes still when she talks about them. There are teachers out there that their hearts are in the right place, and without them, our children would have no hope, because our system is pretty hard. You know, you have 25 students all at different levels, and I remember sitting through the trainings of, okay, how do you get the kids that are at this level and this level all to combine? And you even have some of those problems with homeschooling. You have a baby cry.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I have plenty of problems there. But the teachers' hearts, they are wonderful. And I love people that are willing to give their lives to teach and improve children.
I think it's great. There's a couple of things I want to ask you guys. Because if I was brought in as a business consultant, not having the faith I do, just looking at business principles, the first thing I'm going to sit down and say is, you got to put this Christ thing in the back burner. This is a public, you got to make a profit. This is not politically correct. I want you guys to share why that you're not doing it the way society might say to do a business. You really are starting this as a movement, even though it's a for-profit deal.
I will actually say how it started. I wanted to we weren't planning to have God in it, or Christ at all, because I wanted to have this taught in public schools. And I had just come from the public school system. I love public schools, and I'm like, if we can have this in classrooms, and they're learning to believe in themselves and to have character, and one of our stories is to think positive, because what you think you bring in your life, so those different aspects. So I had actually steered away from it. And I had the strong feeling of there's no foundation. Without God and without those principles, there's no foundation. And I just kept having that feeling over and over. Paige, the whole aspect, the whole point is Christ, is to make a movement of goodness, to share his light, to bring that to our children. They don't get that at school. They may have inspiring teachers. Some schools have great textbooks. They may have different atmospheres, but some of them aren't getting that foundation of those principles and those values. And so then I was like, we can do God, but I had a hard time being with Christ because I didn't want to exclude anyone, and I wanted everyone to be involved, and I can't, because, and I don't mean to get emotional, but he's my Savior.
You bet.
All of it goes to him. Without him, I have no hope, because I am so flawed. And because I'm so flawed, I want my children to know, yes, you're flawed, but Christ came and died so that we can live again, so that we are okay. And so focusing on Christ, because he is the glory of this world. He is the one that can save us. He is the one that, even with all the craziness that is going on, even if we worry about the future of our children, the economics of our country, there's so many things we can worry about. But it's okay, because no matter how dark our future is for our children, as we see in the Bible, God has a plan. And so teaching them to trust in that plan. Other than that, it felt shallow values that I was teaching them. And so while I was so worried about not excluding people, I wouldn't feel true to myself if I didn't have that. So that was personally why I wanted it in there, and I'll let Christian share with the kids.
I know how I feel about the founding fathers of this country and what miraculous things that they did. I was listening to a book by Stephen Hawking that talked about our universe being an expanding universe, and the way that you measure time is through the disorganization of matter. And if we were in a universe that was contracting, we would measure time by the organization of matter. So he put a couple of examples out there. One would be, in our world, we'd have a puzzle that was put together in a box, and over time that puzzle would be shaken and those pieces would come apart. Or your boat or your car sitting outside for 15 years, it's falling apart on you. In another universe where you're contracting and things are coming together, he gave the observation of a coffee cup in pieces on the floor with some coffee on the floor, and that those pieces jump up onto the table in this contracting, or this universe that's coming together. The pieces of the coffee cup jump up on the table, and the coffee jumps up into the cup. And these people didn't know any different, that, oh, well, there's coffee in the cup. And as he was going through this exercise of trying to explain the difference in how we measure time in our universe, I came to the conclusion that that's my life. I'm living in a universe that everything's falling apart. But when I see things organizing and coming together, that's when God's hand's in it, because this universe wouldn't allow anything natural to happen that way. Sure. So it's got to be divine. And that's the way that I feel about our Savior and our Heavenly Father, is that He brings us as a piece of that cup or a piece of that puzzle and puts us into something organized and makes something more out of us than we can ourselves. And I wasn't interested in coming and being a part of this company if Christ and God weren't a part of bringing that to the children. It wasn't, I did well financially in my businesses, and it wasn't a financial motivation for me. It was about making a difference and thinking about God being taken out of the schools. And it just seems like we're putting the very thing that made us great as a country and as a people, we're putting it in the closet and saying, yeah, we don't have a need for that anymore. And it's that big cycle where you rely on God and He blesses you, and you start getting confident and proud, and you put God in the back corner and you fall to the bottom, and then you realize that you need to be humble, and you start praying again, and you come back to the top, and you're like, wow, thanks for helping me, now I don't need you anymore. And it's like this big cycle, and I think our country is going through that, where we're we're putting Him on the back shelf, and this is a chance for us through a great medium to be able to get a huge market and huge potential for our message into a lot of people's hands to make a difference.
Well, I think it's great. You know, the people tease me about my shoes because I always wear Tom's shoes and they're always freaky. But that's what Blake did. Blake said, I want to be able to give back. So you buy my shoes, I make a profit, we give a pair. You know, and seeing you guys say, yeah, we want to make a profit, but we want to give. It isn't about the money. The money's a byproduct. It's about starting something that will change lives.
And I think that it would only be fair if Paige has an opportunity to share a little bit. I mean, we want to give back. And you know, one of the things that we're doing is we're focusing on a Shine Bright Kid, that they've made a difference in the world. And we're showing kids at an early age, 7, 8 years old, that they do amazing and incredible things. And so on our website, there's a spot for a Shine Bright Kid that will highlight them all month. And
a kid and a teen.
They'll get a chance to see other kids that are making a difference and hear their story and be able to read about them. And there's some amazing kids out there.
And some of them, what we also wanted to focus on, some of them, the world may not say make that big of a difference. Some of them that we've talked to, their abilities are a lot less than other people's. But if you talk to them like they have more disabilities. If you talk to the people in their lives, the light and the joy that these people bring, that the world would say, oh, their life is of less value. It's not true. Sometimes they bring even more value. Their hearts are more pure. They are better. And so we're highlighting people of all abilities, all different strengths that are making a difference to their full capacity. And another way we're giving back is the Shine Bright conventions that we're doing for Ocean Avenue will be a little different. They're oceanized. They'll have entrepreneurials and be all fun. The ones we're going to do, we'll do some for us, for our Shine Bright people, but we're also going to do some in those needed communities, where we are going to bring the kids and the parents and the teens and teach them these principles, try to inspire them, show them that regardless of your current circumstance, we are giving them the service for free. If they need a computer, we're giving computers. Like, we are going to really try to make a difference in the areas that may not have that confidence or belief in themselves. And the moms might be working full-time. They might be a single mom. They might not have the ability, like I do, to stay home, to homeschool. Any of the choices, I'm very blessed. So to be able to give them additional resources and help and guidance, faith in themselves, that's one of the aspects I'm so excited about, is our different communities we're going to help. And not worrying about, like Christian was saying, we kind of push God to the side. I feel like where we're at right now is we have so many great people in our world, but we're trying to be politically correct and not offend other people, that we don't even highlight what we really believe in and what matters to us. And by not standing up for what we believe in, we're letting others push through what they believe in.
It's true.
And so, not trying to offend anyone ever, but standing up for what we believe in. And so, that's been even a hard transition for me, because I did grow up trying to, being politically correct and not offending people and not pushing my beliefs on people, but realizing you're not. You're supporting what you believe in and standing for what you believe in. So we are standing what we believe in, and we want others to stand for what they believe in, and bringing people together, even of different faiths or different types of Christians or even Jews, and the difference they make and the influence their religion has played on Christianity, and how we can come together. So really just focusing on unity and uniting us, but also at the same time standing for what we believe in.
I think that's great. What is the service going to cost?
Quite a bit. We don't quite know. Like how? Oh, the serve ours. I thought you meant how much we're spending.
No. I mean,
a lot on helping those neighborhoods. It's only $64.99 a year. So.
A year, not a month.
Nope, not a month. A year.
A year.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that's important to note as well for that $64.99, it's all of the kids in the family that are for that membership fee. So whether
up to 8 kids.
8 kids, yeah.
So
we're going to limit it, okay?
There may be a few families that have more kids than that, but yeah. So $64 will include those 8 children.
Wow, that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So if I was a grandpa, I could get this service for my grandkids, and 8 of my grandkids could be on the service.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome, guys. Because I was thinking 1, and I was thinking monthly, not annually.
No,
so.
it's annually.
Wow.
Yeah, we're trying to make it really, again, we're for profit, but we're really trying to get our cause out there. We're really trying to make a difference.
Oh, I think
and so
that's
we're
great.
trying to make it affordable. We're trying to make it so that families that are struggling can do that. We're trying to help make it so regardless of your circumstance, your kids can do this, your family can take part of it. You can take the pledge, send a copy of your pledge and picture, and we send bracelets to you to show that you're trying to
Well, I'm
live
into
that.
bracelets, so, you know.
So that's part of the stuff that we really want to get it out there. So we're trying to keep it affordable, and
What's your ETA for launch?
then within the next 2 weeks, by November.
Okay, so we're looking at a November launch.
Yep.
I'm seeing a bracelet that says I am second.
That is a movement,
Very nice.
is what that is, and that is for people that have screwed up and made mistakes to realize they don't have to judge others. And they can say, you know what, let me help lift you up. Let me help you go through
I like
the
that.
struggles that you've gone through. And a few years ago, the Lord made me realize I'm never going to be number 1. He created me to support other people. And that's one of the reasons I work with your dad, is not to promote me or even my business, but to promote those leaders that come through here and let people know, hey, and just like we're doing with Shine Bright, you know, if we can be a catalyst to let people know, hey, here's something you might have been looking for, then I get to serve. Now I'm going to get like you. I get to serve what my passion is and what God created me for. And it's fun. And that's so when you connect and collaborate with people like that, all of a sudden you realize there's a lot of second people that want to go out there and help. And it's a pretty cool deal.
That is very neat.
Awesome.
That's what it's about. Anything we haven't covered that you guys want to cover?
I think it's an ongoing progressive story, so.
And it will be too, trust me. You know,
No, but I'm grateful for people like you that are willing to help us share our message, because that's really what we're about. Is we want to create a movement, and it's getting that message out there in a natural way, not a typical sales pushy way, but in a way that is just trying to touch people's hearts, and they can see our cause and they want it for their families, and bringing those people together. So I'm so grateful that you're willing to do this video, and that we can hopefully bring people together and have them touch their lives as well.
well, it's great. Folks, you've heard it from the creators themselves. That's what's fun. And I love doing these little chats like this because it really does allow the world to see that you can stand up for what you believe in, not offending other people. You can have a for-profit company and still share the values that you believe in and change the world. And that's what I love. Folks, live life like it's an epic adventure. Stay dangerous, stay strong. And if you are in network marketing, act like it.